We'll see how many of y'all got notifications and thought it was an accident. So I didn't give anyone a chance to really respond. I didn't even take a ton of time to look through the comments about this new video that has surfaced with Barry Morphew. If you missed my last live that happened just moments ago, you can actually go back and watch it. It's up on Facebook and YouTube right now. But the cool thing is just randomly, I got to speak with the guy, Tyson Draper, who actually interviewed Barry Morphew and kind of got his thoughts on the situation outside of what was said in the video. You can go back and analyze the video for yourself. It's on his YouTube channel. It's on my Facebook page. I actually show it in the last video before we actually talk with Tyson. But then my phone starts blowing up with text messages and Facebook messages about people that want to comment and want to, give their thoughts on this video that has surfaced. A lot of people believe that this is a very genuine video or a very genuine interview kind of talk. Not really an interview, it's a conversation. For all intensive purposes, Barry didn't know he was being recorded. And, after talking with the YouTuber wasn't sure he was getting it recorded either. And I can give him that. I actually know that feeling when you are hoping something is being recorded, but you can't look at your camera. You don't want to pay attention to your camera because you don't want to ruin what's happening in the moment while you're talking with this person. And so if you want to give me a call, my number's at the bottom of the screen. I'll take a few phone calls and let you guys kind of give your 2 cents on what you think may or may not have transpired in that. And so if you want to call in, you can call in and give your thoughts. I kind of have given my thoughts on the video already through the last one. And after speaking with Tyson, I kind of am glad that I'm glad he called me back. I sent him messages early today trying to get a phone call with him. I had even people searching out his phone number. And then out of the blue, he gives his phone number out on one of the videos he releases. You give your phone, and he says he's been getting slammed with phone calls. And so when I originally called him, he said, well, just text me. And then he asked who I was. I said, I'm Dadwithaphone, Michael. And he said, oh, well, then call me. He obviously knew who I was through the Patrick Frazee case. So that's kind of cool that a guy that has watched some of my videos in the past is out doing his own kind of dad with the phone thing, just a guy with the phone. And so, but he doesn't even use his phone. That was a GoPro, by the way, because people were saying, he says he doesn't have his phone. Oh yeah, that's because it's recording. He was recording on like a GoPro style camera. So anyway, if you want to call in and you want to leave your thoughts, right now's the time to do it. My phone line is open and my silent mode is turned off. If you don't want to call, then I'll just go to bed. It's 10 o'clock here in the mountains. But I did want to give everybody the opportunity, if they wanted to say one way or the other how they felt. This is kind of an easy way to do it, is just let people make a phone call. And so the number is at the bottom of the screen. You can call in and tell me what you think. You're live with Dad with the Phone. Hello? You're live.
Is this Dad with the Phone?
This is Dad with the Phone. Who am I talking to?
This is Angela.
Well,
I'm from California.
How are you doing, Angela from California?
Good. Am I live or no?
Yeah, you're absolutely live.
Okay. So I know a lot of people don't read into mediumship and things of that nature.
Okay.
But it's kind of interesting. There's been a couple. I'm the stay-at-home mom detective on your page.
Okay.
And so I follow you, obviously, and Plunder and a lot of other ones. But there's a couple mediums that I've been following that just, I kind of into true crime and trying to see their intake on stuff. And what was interesting is a couple different ladies had said that there is about an airfield that they believe Suzanne might be located at, which is 10 to 12 miles northeast of their home there. So I didn't know how to get the word out, or, if anybody searched in that area, and I know you're like an hour and a half or so away, if you've heard anything on that topic of that area.
You said there's an airfield?
An airfield,
like an airport?
I don't know. Like I said, I'm from California. I just know that what they were kind of reading was that there's an airfield about 10 to 12 miles of their home there, and it was northeast of their home. And it's some type of airfield. I can't remember the name of it.
There might, I don't know. I don't know if there's an airfield. There could be, that could be anything, right? That could be somebody's own private thing, or that could be like an airport they're talking about. Salida has a small airport for
I think they call, I think it was Harriet. I'm not sure. I have to look back on that channel and find it, but I'm not sure if that's the one or not.
What did you say, Nikki?
What was that?
Yeah, there is an airfield called Harriet something, my wife says. I was just asking.
Yeah, I don't know if that one's like about approximately 10 to 12 miles from their home, but that's what they were picking up on. Like I said, everybody for their own. I just kind of follow all true crime, and so when certain things come up, that interest me or whatnot, I'll kind of read into some things. And there, one of the ladies I followed was kind of really accurate with Gannon, and that's how I started following you, is through Gannon's case as well. So I just wanted to throw that out there in case it was, because I think the search that they're doing isn't where she's at.
Okay.
Just kind of what I've been listening to and some other channels I've been following. But I do believe she's close, just not in that immediate area. So I just thought I'd throw it out there for all of us, to kind of just look, or if somebody's in the area or whatnot, or let law enforcement know.
Absolutely.
Something of that nature. I don't know how all that works. So.
Well, thanks for calling.
Yeah, you're welcome. You all have a good night.
You too.
Thank you.
Awesome. Well, and I've talked about mediums and psychics. I've had actually, I had a psychic on about the Mindy Lee case, and I've given my 2 cents on psychics enough. If you're new to Dad with a Phone, I absolutely believe there are real psychics and mediums in the world. My only concern is I don't know if we're supposed to touch that side. So there you go. There is an airfield, I guess, that is close to Salida, probably close to those general specs and areas, 10 or so miles, northeast of there. That would be kind of around Salida. Salida is like 11 to 12 miles away. So Harriet Alexander Airfield is what somebody's calling it. So, well, what else are you thinking tonight? I guess I didn't really ask her about the interview and what she thought of Barry in that interview, but if you want to call in and give your thoughts on what you think, let me know. My number's at the bottom of the screen. We just had a conversation with Tyson Draper, the guy who landed an exclusive interview with Barry Morphew. Some people are upset about how the interview went down. Frankly, I don't really see anything out. The only thing, like I said, the hindsight 2020 for Tyson would have been, he could have never said he didn't know the video was happening. And then also when Barry said, put that away, he could have just put it away and never said out loud, it's off. He could have just put it away and gone about his business the same way he did. And I think the outcome would have been the same, except that he would have never, he would never have to explain that stuff away. He also gave the reasoning behind it. And I can tell you, being in those situations, like I have been in those situations. And so when you're in those situations, you can you take it for whatever. You're like caught in the moment and, you know, trying to figure out what the heck, I hope my camera's recording kind of a thing. And so a very good explanation from Tyson on why and how he responded, because in truth, any one of us that would have been put in that situation would have been a little nervous, me included. And so I think he handled it very, very well. If you want to give me a call, you can call the number at the bottom of the screen. Let me know what you thought about Tyson's video. Let me know what you thought about right now. We got a call. You're live with Dad with a Phone.
Hey, Dad with a Phone. It's Angie again. How are you?
How are you doing?
Good, good. Hey, I wanted to first, congratulations on getting an exclusive interview with the guy that got an exclusive interview with Barry.
Isn't that funny?
Awesome.
That's funny, isn't it?
It absolutely is. That's awesome. Hey, I was just a couple of quick notes, and I haven't really kind of digested the whole thing, and I want to hear Plunder's take on it too, because she does a really good job of getting into the, like, pulling the sound out so you can hear the whole conversation.
Okay.
It kind of faded out at times, you know.
Yeah. What was your thoughts on kind of how Barry is on there?
I was actually doing just a quick checklist of comparing him and Letitia Stout. And the three things that jumped out at me as similar was he said nothing personal about Suzanne in the interview, but was very focused on social media's view of him.
Okay.
Which I found just like Letitia.
Okay.
Downing law enforcement, how they're not doing it right, and you know, that whole kind of.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm checking these boxes with you.
Okay, and then the final thing was that he felt the need to prop up a friend who he says was the Army Ranger with 400 tours as someone being on his side, and that it reminded me of Letitia propping up kind of herself vis-a-vis her daughter by saying, well, she's a member of the Air Force defending our country, and the girl ain't even been to boot camp yet. But this guy, he's an Army Ranger with 400 tours, which anybody that knows anything about the military knows 400 tours is not possible.
Yeah, and that was something that like literally jumped out at me. And the first thing I did was text a guy that I know that's in the Army. He's an Army Ranger, and was like, hey, if somebody claimed 400 tours in Iraq and Afghanistan, is this something that's legit? And the guy was like, no. He's like maybe 6, maybe 8 tours if you're a badass, but 400, outrageous. And so 2 things. One, the guy did 4 tours, and Barry Morphew just kind of is telling a story. And like you said, trying to give credentials or credit to this guy. And it's really kind of like a deflector, right? It's like, yeah, I had this guy that's got 400 tours. Well, he really only
he's a friend of mine.
Yeah, he's a friend of mine. He's looking into this, you know. No, I'm with you with all 3 of those little check. You got any more check boxes that you did?
Not yet. This is just quick and dirty.
Yeah, go for it.
But I'm going to keep going on my list. So if I come up with some more great stuff, I'll let you know.
Oh, I got you. So those were kind of your 3?
The 3 that jumped out. I haven't listened to the whole interview yet.
Okay. Yeah, and I guess somebody's transcribing it. Maybe Plunder's transcribing it, or as best as she can, or someone is going to transcribe it. And that was why I asked him about some of that interview, because some of it does go down and you're like, what is Barry talking about? They're talking about his perception on social media. They're talking about him having to clear his name with law enforcement, stuff like that. So,
you know, and there's another point you mentioning that how was his name Terry?
Tyson,
thank you. How he felt, how he got an eerie feeling from Barry, and Spencer had gotten an eerie feeling from Letitia.
I gotcha. And that's why
there's a 4th one.
Yeah, and that was the thing. So like, we can read into that interview for what we could see on the screen and hear. Tyson was able to give us a little bit of insight into the actual energy that was happening right there. And so, yeah, definitely
like being able to see his eyes and how he said they were darting around and.
Yeah, for sure.
So very creepy.
Yeah, definitely it was a good interview.
Oh yeah, very good.
Yeah, and well,
it seemed to be. I just heard bits and parts of it.
Yeah,
but,
pretty well executed on
for an impromptu.
For an impromptu thing for sure. Hey, well, thanks for calling tonight.
All right, thanks, Dad.
All right, we'll talk to you later.
Okay, bye.
Hello, you're live with Dad with a Phone.
Hi, this is Marie from Long Island.
Oh,
I've been watching the case since day one. Oh. Don't you find it odd that Barry would tell somebody that he doesn't even know their name information about all this? It's a little far-fetched.
As far as like how so you're kind of on the thought that, what do you think? You think this was like a planned deal?
I have a feeling that that's what it appears to be. Why would he go and confide in somebody all this stuff?
Well, did you get to hear the end of the interview where I talked to Tyson yet?
Where you popped what?
So I actually, on the live video right before this one, I actually talked to the guy who interviewed Barry.
I didn't see that. In fact, you were like 1-2 minutes already before I had seen that,
So on the last live that I just did a few minutes ago, and it's on Facebook and YouTube, I actually talked with the guy who made that video. And he with Tyson, and he explains kind of how it went down. And I got to tell you, I think it's a genuine video. Like, I think it genuinely went down as far as how Tyson explains it. He was out there looking. Tyson's a YouTuber. He's had a YouTube channel for a minute. He's talked about others. It's not like he just popped up, right? It's not like he just popped out of nowhere. He's had videos. He puts his real face, his real name on these videos. So, he's searchable. You can see who he is and why he does what he does. And so, I have seen the rumors and the things that are flying around how, this was a plan, this was a plant or whatever. I don't believe that. I believe Tyson's a genuine YouTuber who was at the right place at the right time. And, for all intensive purposes, from what I can see, and I can only say this because I looked into it today, Tyson seems like he's a person that people would talk to. Like, if I saw him and he approached me and started talking to me, he seems like a pretty genuine person, kind of like myself in a sense that I'll go up and talk to anybody, and I know that if that was me there walking around and Barry was to talk to me, I know that nobody would ever question, Dad with the Phone is a plant and this is a planted video. But because it's kind of relatively an unknown YouTuber and kind of a stranger in the true crime world, people are saying that. But I got to tell you, I think it's pretty genuine. So
I agree with you. When I first saw it, because I'm on the fence with whether I believe he did it or not, and I feel as though he more or less was. I just find it odd that Barry. I'm sorry. I just find it so odd that Barry would say that. He gave a 25-second or 28-second plea for his wife, but yet he's going to tell this guy that he doesn't even know. I agree that he did seem genuine with what he said to the guy, but I don't. After the afterthought of it all, is it? I know I wouldn't go up to anybody and start talking to them. Come on, I mean, I find it far-fetched.
Yeah, and I want to be clear. I'm not saying that Barry was genuine in a sense of what he was saying. I'm not agreeing or disagreeing with that at all. I'm saying that I believe Tyson is a genuine YouTuber who was out there, doing some content and landed this interview with him. And I think it happened because of the way Tyson approached Barry, the fact that he was out there the day before and Barry had seen him, there is a real possibility that Barry was like, well, who is this guy? Is he an undercover? Is he a cop? Is he a reporter? Is he some guy, you know, just random? And it sounded like that, you know, in the video they had talked about, you know, the guy was like, I'm from Phoenix, so Tyson's a traveler. And Tyson does some like branded marketing for some different companies and social media, or like some social media stuff for some companies and different things. And so he's out in Colorado doing his regular stuff. But on top of that, he has this as like a little hobby. And he's like, man, I'm 5 minutes from Maysville. Let me run up the road here. Let me check this out. And lo and behold, Barry's hanging around the area. And so two things.
That's what's hard to understand. And that's why I said,
but if I
were in his place,
yeah.
I would never, I'm sorry, I wouldn't talk, especially with all the criticism of how people keep thinking that he does it. You're going to go up to a stranger and tell them, and you don't even know their name.
Yeah, but sometimes
that's just my view.
Yeah, no, totally. But sometimes that's like the most disarming thing, right? This guy doesn't have big cameras. He doesn't look like media. He is a stranger, but he's in a very specific location around a very specific time. So Barry's curious. Who is this guy? What's he doing around here? Why is he? And then all of a sudden, Barry drives up with his window down, and Tyson calls Barry by name. You're Barry Morphew. Yes, the guy. And Barry jumps out the truck. And so, yeah, you'll have to go back and listen to the interview with Tyson, the guy who made that video. It's on my Facebook or my YouTube, but it does give us a little bit more insight to that interview and how it kind of went down, and how Tyson doesn't believe Barry to be genuine. He kind of says that this interview sounds real scripted, and the energy that was happening on location that isn't you're never going to get that in the video. He was like, it was a very weird situation. So who knows? Some people
think he could have been planned. He could have been, you know, trying to figure out what to do to get like his voice out to the people, because everybody is accusing him and making it look as if, oh, I've been searching with my friends and all this other stuff. But he, you know, or the fact of an animal killing or whatever type of thing. I don't know. I think he's trying to make it look as if he's innocent. Watching it, I definitely felt like, oh my God, I don't think he did it. And then after it, I like thought about it. I'm like, it's just not right. But I'll let you go, and you're doing a great job. I just want to let you know, because I'm going to watch, you know. I can't watch you and talk at the same time.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. So go back and check. And even if you skip through that last video I did, it's the later part of the video, the last 20 minutes of the video or so. I actually talked with Tyson, and he explains how that thing went down. So it's a real interesting kind of take on it for sure. Hey, thanks for calling.
Thank you for doing what you're doing, and have a great night, okay?
All right, we'll talk to you later. Got another call coming in. Hello, you're live with Dad with a Phone. Hello, you're live with Dad with a Phone.
Hi, Dad. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. Okay, so I've been following this case since day one, and there were already so many weird things surrounding this case. Mother's Day, she's gone. Another thing about the video with Tyson is when he was trying to get him to say something like, when's the last time anyone spoke to her? He really didn't have an answer.
Yeah.
Did you notice that?
No, yeah. And he responded with, it was Mother's Day. He was in Denver, I guess the prior day. He was in Denver the day before Mother's Day, or he left for Denver that morning. And then he said that the kids were supposed to be home on Mother's Day, but they got delayed. And so they were trying to get a hold of their mom and couldn't get a hold of their mom. He didn't answer whether he saw her the day before. Was he in Denver? And that was part of the video where the audio wasn't very clear. And so it will be interesting, because that's something we haven't actually, they haven't really given, last seen or what she was wearing. They've given a vague description of who she was and her height and age and stuff. But yeah, very little.
But it's basically like nobody can say when is the last time that she spoke to another human being. When was the last time that she was even seen?
The flip side of that is, this is happening in the middle of a global
pandemic
lockdown, right? Where there are a lot of people who haven't seen a lot of people, right? And so on one flip side, that would be a question. Why hasn't she seen someone in the last few days? Why hasn't her neighbor seen her?
Or why can't he specify like the last time I saw her, or the last time she called, or the last time she texted, or
and fortunately, I think in my mind, I think that if I was an innocent person, I don't know if I would. I don't know if I would look at it that way, though. Like, I don't know if I would.
I think that if it was my husband, I would remember everything. Like the time he texted me or our last conversation, period. I don't know.
No, for sure. And I would hope that law enforcement obviously got answers out of that. But the fact that Barry didn't answer it, and that was a direct question. When he prompted that question, I was like, oh, here we go, Tyson.
Paused.
Yeah, like Tyson was like, let me ask you something, and he did get a question in, and there was some response there. But the way Tyson explained it is the response was very scripted. It sounded like something that's been practiced.
Oh, yeah.
And so, that fortunately you got to believe that Barry has spoken with at least some lawyers, right? I have to believe and think that, especially when they're like digging up his work sites and taking custody of his home. I would think he would have called some lawyers, especially if he already thinks that law enforcement is botching crap, right? And he definitely shared that.
If my loved one was missing, I would not be blaming law enforcement or accusing law enforcement of messing up or being so critical of them. I would be behind them, supporting them. Does that make sense? Like I would try to be as positive about, okay, well, they're going to find her, or, maybe they've made some mistakes, but.
Well, and yes and no, because we're talking about a very small county in a very small rural area. And I can tell you this, and I haven't gone down this road, but the Chaffee County Sheriff, the actual sheriff, has a real kind of shady political past. And there's some stories out there that, are easily Googled. And I'm one of those that I don't necessarily trust law enforcement to do the best job either, especially because when you've seen it, like even in the Patrick Frazee case, the Woodland Park PD screwed up a lot. And had it not been for the Colorado Bureau of Investigation and the FBI, Patrick Frazee could have got away with murder. Like he was,
I just think that, I don't. Oh, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No.
I just think that if they thought that she was out there, wouldn't they be like scouring the whole area? And I think actually that she's closer to home than we think. I don't know. I just get that feeling. And then especially when he told Tyson, like, oh, yeah, we already looked down there or whatever, that place. I'm like, oh, my God. That's where you should go.
I can understand. Yeah, I can understand how he was explaining that.
He was just like so.
But
it's like he's practiced this in front of the mirror like 1,000 times.
Yeah. So, but on the flip side, let's also remember. So Tyson was out there the day before, and Barry was out there too.
Yes.
Ultimately, Barry was maybe searching. Right? Like maybe this is a guy who goes out there every day and walks this area. And that's why he was out there with his mom, The flip side.
Well, but his mom looked a little bit old to be searching through the woods.
No, I don't think, I don't think his mom was running out there that day. I also think that if Barry saw this guy 2 days in a row, he's wondering what's going on. So, again, lots of speculation and a lot to be read from from that. It is the most that we've gotten out of Barry since this thing started. So I do understand that.
This was incredible.
Yeah.
What Tyson did today was incredible.
Yeah.
Truly.
It really was. And I'm glad that he was able to articulate when I talked to him on the phone, how like he was nervous in the moment. He wasn't really thinking, and that explains a lot of why he said like, oh, I didn't know if the video was recording, but truthfully, I was hoping it was recording and some things like that. So for me, it was good to hear that from him because it gives me a better understanding of how and why some of the things were said on the earlier videos. But no, I think he did a great job. And he got an interview with Barry when I know for a fact, I'm talking people from Dateline, some of the biggest names and reporters have tried to get that interview.
Morrison.
They've been trying to get that interview.
Keith's going to be out there eventually.
I'm wondering, now that Barry is obviously getting word that this is out there,
right.
And I'm wondering how he thinks and how this ultimately rolls out for him in the end. So it'll be interesting. But hey, thanks for calling.
It will be interesting. Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me.
All right, we'll talk to you later. Some good calls tonight, some good thoughts. What are your thoughts? Right now, you can let the world know on Dad with a Phone. You can call the number at the bottom of the screen, and you'll be live right here in my living room. Yeah, he said they searched over a 200-mile area coming in from Florida. You're live with Dad with a Phone. Oh, they hung up from Leesburg, Florida. They didn't want to talk. Oh, they're calling back. You're live with Dad with a Phone.
Leesburg, Florida. They didn't want to talk.
Hello. You're live on the air. We hear you.
Hey.
Who am I talking to?
This is Gina, and I am in, Florida, like you said.
Yeah.
Sorry about hanging up on you. Okay, listen, did I miss something? Because I did not get to listen to the rest of the Plunder video yet, so I haven't heard the entire, transcription or whatever. But I thought he said he asked her on Mother's Day if it was okay, if she minded if he went to that job in Denver.
Yeah, that is kind of what I heard, something like that. I couldn't hear clearly if it was on Mother's Day or if it was like leading up to Mother's Day. They were talking about it and they were like, hey, do you mind, since the kids are gone, can I run up here and get this job started and then I'll be back, when the kids get back?
Okay, yeah. So that's my impression. So yes, I agree with some of the previous callers. It sounds scripted. He's saying all these mountains have been searched. Come on, a lot of the statements that he made were highly unbelievable, in my opinion.
There are some of the statements that, that don't sound directly, believable. Some of them are irrelevant, like the 400 tour in whatever Iraq. That's an irrelevant statement, whether it's true or not, but it sounds weird. And then, yes, he does say that there's been like a 200-mile area that has been searched. And so, it does. Yeah. Again, so you think the interview is not good for him? It didn't look good for him?
I think he's trying to put ideas into people's heads to a narrative that he wishes we would all believe.
And from what I gather on social media, though, it sounds like a lot of people are believing that.
Well, and here's the thing with that. I haven't had very little time lately to actually be online and in the Facebook groups and whatnot. Now with Gannon, I was on it from day one because I used to live out there. I used to work in Woodland Park at the little hair salon right there. I know the whole area well. And I'm actually coming back out there in a couple of weeks. I tried to come in March, but then COVID hit. So anyway, like that's, it hit home with me. I have an 11-year-old son, not to put this on Deanna, but I mean, a lot of similarities with Letitia too in the interview or lack thereof, not wanting to show her face. I was also noticing when he did the little plea for his wife, he had that furrowed brow and he looked almost like he had aged a lot recently. And he looked very distressed, completely unlike he had looked in any of the previous photographs I've seen of him.
Yeah, I feel bad because it's like if he doesn't give an interview, people are saying one thing. He's guilty because he's not talking. If he gives an interview, people are like, he's guilty because he's talking. And so it's kind of a lose-lose situation. With the flip side, I have to believe in my own heart, if my wife goes missing and the police tell me not to talk about it, I'm going to talk about it. If my wife goes missing and I know that I'm innocent, I feel like I'm going to be screaming for help for anyone, right? Because I also understand the power of this internet thing where 6 billion people can look into a case and they can find answers that the cops can't. And so, it's one way. If he talks to the internet, he's damned. If he doesn't talk to the internet, he's damned. If he doesn't interview with the press, he's damned. If he doesn't do an interview with the press, he's in trouble. So, it's kind of a back and forth. There are things.
And then let's just discuss something else real quick.
All right.
The nephew or whatever that has suddenly gone silent. And another question: why did they need a GoFundMe if he's a millionaire or multi-millionaire?
These are all good questions. These are all really good questions.
Why do you think he was silenced? What happened to him? Was he threatened? Like, is he still around? Who knows, right?
Well, see, and the funny thing to me is the only people that have spoken publicly is the nephew and the uncle. Like, and these are like uncle so-and-so and nephew so-and-so, right? And so I know that the children are adults. And, I know that law enforcement will use the pleas of people who are innocent. Like, I know that when the Patrick Frazee case was going on and they had Kelsey Barris' mother come forth and make a plea for Kelsey, and they kind of painted it as a missing persons. I know for a fact at that very moment when they were making that plea, they had FBI and CBI surveillance going on Patrick Frazee. Like, they already knew that he had done something. And so, it is concerning to me that law enforcement hasn't had an official press conference with a member of the family making a statement and a plea, and even the statement and the pleas that were made were done without law enforcement approval or coordination. And so that is strange to me. I believe law enforcement is probably looking at Barry as a pretty prime suspect, last person to see her, closest person to her. They've even spent resources searching his job sites. And so that points to Barry. That's got to be scary for someone if they're innocent, right?
Sure.
And so
I want to show my face and speak my voice as much as possible so people will, because like you said, there's a vibe.
Yep.
You can kind of feel it, and I was going to say something.
Yeah, you probably I talked too much and you forgot.
Oh no, I know what it was. So the job site or whatever they were supposedly digging up, and did I hear that it backs up to the Arkansas River?
Oh yeah, it's on the Arkansas.
I'm under that river because my friend Eric Ashby actually died in that river out there near Royal Gorge, searching for some kind of hidden treasure. And that was all crazy. I don't know if you remember that. It's been a couple of years, at least almost.
I kind of remember a story about some dude that died in Arkansas looking for treasure, but
And they found him in what's the little town right out by the well, Penrose, but then it's like Florence or
Florence, Colorado, or Coda. Yeah, there's a bunch of them.
They found him in the Greats there, but it just so that thought kind of went through my mind when I heard that it was like near the Arkansas River. Like, holy shit! If she's in that river, I mean, they go down. Now, when Eric had gone, it was still very cold, and so they're like, they have to wait for it to thaw out, basically, or something.
The river never freezes, but it does ice. I mean, there's always, like, it does get a layer of ice in areas and stuff. But down there by Penrose and stuff, we've camped down there. Some cool camping areas right along the Arkansas at this old ranch. But no, there is, I mean, you could dump someone in the Arkansas, and there are some areas of the Arkansas that are heavily traveled and would be, people obviously would wash up on shore and stuff. It's not like dumping someone in a deep lake or ocean. There are parts of that Arkansas River that are just a couple of feet deep in some places.
We went to Canyon City, and I mean, I'm like looking for his body to be like floating down the river there in the Riverwalk and stuff, and it just never happened. So like he was gone, like under.
Yeah. No, the difference though, the Royal Gorge is where that river gets really narrowed and is a different beast and animal altogether than it is up there in Salida. Salida is a relatively mild river in a sense that, I mean, I was actually speaking with someone who does rafting trips from Buena Vista to Salida. It's a 5-hour float, but it's, old people in blow up tubes do it, and so it's relatively a mild river in some areas. And then on the flip side, it can be a very dangerous river for whitewater rafting and different things, especially through the gorge there. Thanks for calling.
Where you were by the prison there in Buena Vista, because, Mount Princeton and all that stuff, into the hot springs and whatnot. But I'm just not real familiar. Like, we camped there, Mushroom Gulch, you know where that is?
Yep.
And that was awesome out there. And it's just absolutely beautiful. So how close is that in proximity to where they're at?
Well, all of that area, but it's all, Buena Vista and Salida are about 30 minutes apart. So that area is all just in between there. But I mean,
coming from the springs, what is Salida on the other side of Buena Vista?
On the other side of Buena Vista, like going west?
I would say, because obviously Springs is east of there. So
if you go west out of Buena Vista, west out of Buena Vista is Independence Pass, and it goes into like Aspen and Vale, and then if you go like Mount Princeton, you can go up over Mount Princeton and Tin Cup Pass, and that takes you down into Taylor Reservoir area. And then if you go up out of Salida over Monarch Pass, that takes you down into Gunnison. But I think people have got the understanding, and if you've been out there, that this is quintessential Colorado. I mean, this is the mountains of Colorado. You could walk into those woods and never be seen again. And like nobody would ever find you. There are places out there that you could walk, and nobody would ever be there for another 100 years. And so if you wanted to hide someone, if you wanted to bury someone in the woods, and if you had the ability and the means to do that, you could make someone disappear in those woods fairly simple and without direct a tip telling people where you're at. You would never be found. And so, that's a scary thing to think about, because where she went missing is in the middle of nowhere. I mean, it is. It's a long way from anywhere. So it's craziness.
Yeah, it was good talking to you tonight and everything. I kind of wanted to reach out with the whole Gannon thing, and I was kind of hoping to be there, and just that's a whole crazy situation too. But I'll be glad to be back out there, and I might get in touch with you while I'm there. We'll see.
Cool. Well, sweet. Well, thanks for calling tonight.
Yeah, you too. Have a good night, man.
You too. Somebody's sending me some coffee money. If you want to throw money in the bucket, somebody linked my PayPal up in the description, but don't feel obligated. Tennessee's up in the house right now. You're live with Dad with a Phone.
Hello, D-Rock. This is Dottie from Tennessee.
How are you doing?
I'm doing well.
So what's your take on tonight and the things we have heard?
My take is he reminds me a lot of Drew Peterson.
Okay.
And the second is, I'm just throwing this out there. Do you think that maybe his attorneys are already grooming him for how to talk to people that are asking him a lot of questions wherever he may run into someone? And the third thing is, I really think he took her into the mountains and left her there.
And when you say you think he did that, are you making that just on the assumption of kind of what you've seen and what's going on, or are you pulling from somewhere else?
I'm not pulling from anywhere else. I mean, they are surrounded by forest and everything. There's just mountains everywhere, and it is just my assumption that he killed her and took her into the mountains and left her there.
And then you kind of think because of how he's responded to this guy, Tyson, that somebody's kind of coaching him going, hey, if you're asked or if you run into somebody, these are the stories. I guess it's possible.
Because a lot of attorneys will, in certain cases,
most of the time,
groom someone on how to respond to questions and things like that.
Yeah, I think that if I think that to be true when it comes to like the trials and stuff, I find it unlikely that any attorney worth anything would tell Barry to talk to anyone. I would most likely, every attorney that I've ever dealt with, talked to, the answer is going to be, I think I lost the call. The answer is going to be, I didn't hang up on you. I just lost you. I don't know what happened there, but you can call back if you want. If you don't, no worries. Thanks for calling Dad with the Phone. Most likely attorneys are going to tell you, don't say a word to anyone, especially don't say a word to people you don't know. Don't say a word to media. Don't say a word to the cops. Don't say a word. Trust me, an attorney is never going to tell you to say anything. That's like number one rule. Now, will an attorney groom you in what to say during, dispositions or during a trial or during an interview with police? Yes, most of the time those attorneys want to be present, and most of the time you want to have your attorney present if you're speaking with police officers. You have to understand, police officers they want to close a case. They want justice, but sometimes it's not about justice. Sometimes it's about closing a case, getting this thing, off their table, getting a good look in it. And, they don't care about Suzanne any more than you care about Suzanne. That's the thing. And so, and then you have to ask yourself, do they care more than you, or would they do more? And Barry doesn't think they're doing enough. He thinks they've messed up. Somebody from Idaho. You're live with Dad with a Phone.
Oh my goodness. I was not expecting you to answer my call. Okay.
Well, you called me. What do you think I was going to do? Send you to voicemail?
Well, I've tried to call you before and you didn't answer. It would be busy.
But you're here now.
I have been in multiple groups that somebody was saying that his most recent friend on Facebook was a family member that worked as some sort of attorney or something. But I have to say, I don't know where the girls were on their camping trip, but Idaho is very similar to the western slope. I was born and raised on the western slope of Colorado.
Yeah.
The mountain areas of Colorado, Idaho has a lot of areas like that as well.
Absolutely.
It's beautiful terrain, and
honest to God, the reason I was calling in is to tell you I appreciate everything you do
Well, thank you.
to get justice for the people that deserve it.
Well, thank
The
you.
children, the women, the men, whoever it should be. I appreciate everything you do.
Well, thank you. So when you speak of Idaho, it's because the story we've been told is that the girls were camping in Idaho.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
I just wanted to clarify. I was born. Yeah.
I was born in Colorado. I lived in Colorado until I was like 5 or 6, and then I was raised in Idaho.
Okay. No, I just wanted to clarify for kind of the people watching why you would mention Idaho if they weren't clear that the girls were there camping, you know. And so
and terrain, when you get up into the mountain areas of Colorado, Idaho has similar terrain, but you don't have to go as far out.
No, absolutely. They're a little bit more accessible.
That terrain.
Yeah, they're more accessible.
Absolutely. It's everywhere.
Yep. What do you think? Have you seen the interview with Barry?
Oh my goodness. Yes. And I don't know what to think. Honestly, I don't know what to think.
Did you happen to catch the phone call that I had with Tyson, the guy who did the interview a little bit earlier tonight?
I didn't catch the phone call.
Okay, yeah. So
his original Facebook post.
Yeah, so there's the original video, but I would encourage you that you don't have to watch the whole video. It's about an hour long. I kind of break down that video, but at the end of that live video, I just did it an hour or so ago, or 2 hours ago, whenever it was. It's on YouTube and Facebook, but I actually talk with the guy who took the video with Barry and did that interview. And so like what we don't see on the video and what we don't actually hear, he kind of fills us in on some things. He actually thinks that Barry is kind of reciting a script and that he didn't feel it was a very genuine, genuine answers and genuine talk. He felt like it was real scripted and he was trying to get his point across and stuff like that. And so, it's just interesting to hear from the guy who actually did that. So you should check that out if, just to give you a little bit of insight on that.
Watch it. I haven't, this probably sounds bad. I haven't been watching you for very long. I started watching you during the Gannon case, and I've not been like a true crime follower for very long. So I try not to jump to conclusions because obviously since I started following you during the Gannon case and like the Chris Watts case came up and other cases and stuff, things come out of the woodwork that people don't expect. And so I'm usually like a silent watcher. I just wanted people to understand that because I know that there's been a lot of question, like the girls, why would they go to Idaho? And I've seen comments from people that they were on like a church camping thing. And I know when I was actually 16, I went on a church camping trip from Idaho to Colorado. I don't know if that's true, that that's what the girls were doing or not. But a lot of people have speculated, like, why would you allow your 16-year-old to go camping with a bunch of college-age kids? So I don't know if that's what they were doing or not. I don't know.
It's crazy. People
the mountain
speculate.
terrain is very similar. I'm a single mom of 5 kids. We're very outdoorsy. We go hunting, we go fishing, we go camping. So I wanted people to understand that the mountain terrain in the mountains in Colorado, because part of Colorado is very desert and flatland. Part of it is when you get up into the mountains is very similar to the mountain terrain in Idaho. And really, I just wanted you to understand. I appreciate what you do.
Awesome. Hey, well, thanks for calling.
Yeah, thank you. You have a good night, and I'll keep watching.
All right, we'll talk to you later. Good phone calls tonight, people. If you're just joining, we've been talking about an interview that surfaced this morning. The interview is with a YouTuber, Tyson Draper. You can find him on YouTube. He woke up this morning with about 800 subscribers. And due to this video with Barry Morphew, he is now over 2,000 subscribers on YouTube. So, man, good on you, Tyson. I can also tell you that me and Tyson had a phone call conversation right here on Dad with a Phone, not in this video, but in the video posted prior to this video. So go watch Tyson's interview with Barry. He's also working on some other content that'll be posted up on his YouTube. But if you want to know what was going on, why Tyson was there, how the interview went down, if you want to know Barry's mannerisms and how Tyson felt while he was in this situation, you can check that video out on Dad with the Phone exclusively. I'm sure Tyson will be talking with other YouTubers. Other YouTubers are probably already reaching out to him, but he messaged me here back and forth during text messages, and then said give him a call. He ended up calling me. So you can hear that video on my channels, Facebook, YouTube, all that stuff. This case is crazy. Suzanne Morphew is still missing. Nobody has been found. No information from law enforcement has been given. And we got another phone call. You're live with Dad with the Phone.
Hey, Dadwithaphone, how's it going? This is Captain Obvious here.
Captain Obvious?
Yes.
Who's Captain Obvious?
Captain Obvious is a true crime fan. That's it.
That's it? You're just is this is that your screen name?
There you go.
Gotcha.
Hey, real quick I know people are, sometimes people struggle with, true crime is you got to take the facts, right? In this case, we don't have very many facts, correct?
Well, the facts we got is Suzanne Morphew's missing.
Thank you.
We got the facts that law enforcement actually hasn't confirmed, but, it is widely known that a bicycle was found in a gully, like in a gulch, in a ditch. I don't, those facts are shady because law enforcement actually hasn't confirmed a bicycle. They have confirmed a personal item, but they haven't labeled that personal item. So those are kind of some facts. And the facts that this is a grown woman who seemingly had a relatively good life. I mean, she wasn't living in a shack in the mountains. You know what I'm saying? And so this is a pretty, relatively good life in the mountains of Colorado, healthy kids, I guess religious background, working in philanthropy, husband obviously has work and jobs and makes money.
Okay.
And so, these are all kind of facts. And
okay, so,
yeah.
So, but I think now the point is, now we need to talk about what's relevant.
All right.
Okay, because we kind of live in a world of there's all this gray. So people want to speculate on all this and that, but when you kind of get down to black and white, and I see your shows where you kind of talk black and white, you kind of let everybody else entertain the gray. And so I guess here's where I think we need to, so people kind of open their minds and say, stop talking about, the kids went to Idaho. Is that even relevant? Not really. What is relevant?
No. I'm with you. And
okay,
and
well,
yeah.
I already know that you kind of know the answer. You kind of see what's going on here in the case. You put out a video that kind of said some facts and some kind of grapevine, law enforcement, Colorado, possible facts. But it's funny how people don't want to kind of hear those things. They want to kind of hear, the person pulling out the dowel rod and going out there trying to find her, correct?
No, everybody, no. When you talk true crime, they'll come at you with the dowel rod, the psychics, the mediums. No, this is something that is that definitely happens.
But that's kind of like it almost you kind of hear people talk where it's almost kind of like, I like true crime, but you hear a lot of people, they talk, and it's kind of, you start feeling like it's kind of dumb crime entertainment, but in reality, let's get to true crime here. True crime is, let's say what's relevant. Possible relevant is that supposedly the guy's got video cameras, correct? And
again, supposedly, because the rumor is the video cameras were turned off, right? That's the rumor.
Well, that's got to be somewhat possible. Tyson said he saw the sign, so there's possibly relevant facts. Or if there's video camera footage, they would know more what's going on. So it seems like relevant is those video cameras.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, and I don't know. I'm not 100% where the rumors have come that the cameras were turned off or that there are cameras. I do believe
But you do believe they were off, correct?
Well, the reason I believe that they were off is because they haven't posted any pictures or still frames of Suzanne.
Yes. So that's possible relevant.
Yeah, this is possible relevant because let's say she walked into Walmart on the day before Mother's Day, right?
Yeah.
This is what they do. This is how law enforcement works. They say, "Oh,
thank you. Yes.
We see she has a receipt here. She was at the Safeway or the bike shop, right?
Yes.
All these little things, right? And so in a missing persons case, they want the most recent accurate photo, right? And so they can show in-life photos, like little family photos that they've done. But if they were to say, the day before Mother's Day, we know she was alive because she went into the Walmart, right? Or the gas station.
Yep.
Okay. I also think the same thing for your personal home security footage. If there was a picture of her leaving on a bicycle from the garage, from the front of the house, from the Arlo Ring camera. And when I look at that house, there's two things. One, if you got a $1.5 million home in the mountains of Colorado, what's a $1,000 camera system? What's a $2,000 camera system?
Hey, Captain Obvious talking here. It's obvious they got cameras there, correct?
Yeah, and so the rumor is
relevant.
That the cameras were off.
Okay, so we can say that's a relevant information is the cameras, and it's relevant that they're probably off. Okay.
Yeah, because we haven't seen any footage.
Relevant, I think you said it before too. Is what also is relevant is that the kids were calling, right? The daughters were calling to find out about their mother. Okay, I don't know about you. When you take the dynamics of a family, you're a dad. I'm not dad, but I know you're dad. Okay, the kids are calling about mom. Don't you think dad's going to be very involved with this situation?
Well, I would think so, except for this video that has surfaced today. So when I heard kind of the explanation on the video, it kind of makes sense to me when Barry says, okay, I talked to my wife and asked her, hey, can I go work on this job? I know it's Mother's Day, but the kids are, they're on a camping trip. They're going to be back later and we're going to celebrate kind of together. And Barry's off on this job in Denver. I'm not 100% sure if he went the day before, went on Mother's Day. It doesn't matter. He's in Denver. Okay. His kids are somewhere else, but they're coming home and they're going to be home in a day, a half a day or whatever. But for whatever reason, he says that they got delayed. So then they call mom to tell mom, hey, we're delayed. And they can't get a hold of mom. And so they did call dad. He does explain today that they actually talked to him and they were like, well, just call the neighbor and see if she came back from the bike ride or whatever see, now this is his story, right? This is the closest story we've gotten because law enforcement hasn't explained this. This has all been internet rumor. This has been, the nephew on the news or the uncle on the news. But from what we kind of understand now is Barry was called and talked to his kids at some point before they actually called law enforcement and, you know, made this decision.
But Dad with the phone, Dad, you see how Dad's not involved with it? The girls are going to call the neighbor. Wouldn't Dad be calling the neighbor? Wouldn't Dad be calling the cops?
Well, so
there's these signs here that are pretty relevant.
Yes and no. Yes and no. Yes and no.
There is all I'm saying. Let's talk about dynamics. That's it.
Yeah, because
the dynamics there are relevant to what is possibly going on here.
Well,
it happen when somebody kills somebody. What do? When somebody kills somebody, they have their kid go into the house to see that mom's dead first. You see what I mean, kind of deal? So
well,
there's something relevant, possibly relevant about the dynamics there, about the girls doing everything. There's not Barry really involved with a lot of that.
Well, not that
normal spouse would be a little more involved.
No, I hear you, but I also believe that we don't know how much Barry was involved. I gathered from today's video that he had some sort of conversation with his kids.
Okay, yeah, possibly.
Yeah, and so I gathered that a little bit today, but that's the first time we've gathered that, you know.
Okay, yes.
And
yeah,
so
I think we're on the same page here. Let's go to something else kind of relevant maybe is with him always wanting to control the narrative about when Tyson comes up. I don't know about you. Is it not laughable, him talking about the mountain lion?
Yeah, only because I know.
Facts are, if someone is attacked by a mountain lion, there's going to be a blood trail.
Yeah, only because I know.
I mean, that is the stupidest thing that I've ever heard that I want to say.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
And that is a big red flag. That's a red flag for me. That was one of the biggest red flags.
So that's relevant. So we can't say it's facts, but we can say this is very relevant here. And always talking about the mountain lion. But that would be stupid. I would feel like an idiot if someone came up. My wife is gone. I even bring up a mountain lion. I would feel like I was the dumbest person alive. Okay, the other thing is, can we please talk about this? Is the other thing I would talk about is, you know, the guy that came out and said he had beef with Barry or whatever. They had a little throwdown. Do you not notice Barry? Does he not look like he's on like TRT? He's like just juiced up, and he's kind of a little ragey.
All right, since you addressed this, I'll address this.
Thank you.
All right.
Please, someone talk
all
about
right.
what is
so,
Captain Obvious.
So
there.
All right, so all right, I'm gonna address this, and I'm probably gonna get slammed for this.
No, please do, because it's obvious.
Barry is telltale signs of steroids.
Thank you.
Okay, so and let me explain to our viewers. One thing I want to tell you is Barry is an ex Major League Baseball player. We all know that Major League Baseball, you don't make it into Major League Baseball without steroids. You don't make you don't even play in the minors without doing steroids. Now, are there exceptions to the rule? Absolutely. But Major League Baseball is flooded with steroids. Barry is without a doubt an ex-Major League Baseball player that played in the minors. The reason why I can say it's telltale signs, Barry's skin is
thank you. Okay,
so people who know and people who understand steroids and what he's talking about, TRT and, you know, all these things, telltale signs of steroid use is red skin. If I can tell you right now that if I, and I've said this, I don't think I've ever said this live on the air, but I've actually said this in some backhanded messages with people. If Barry were to take off his shirt, I would be able to tell immediately by his nipples whether or not he's actively using steroids or has used steroids in the past, only because I'm a UFC fan and there has been breakdown on steroid use in the UFC for many, many years. And so, no,
me too.
This isn't, when you bring this up and say, you know, Captain Obvious here says, you know, there's some telltale signs of TRT or steroid use. I absolutely believe that Barry and firefighters, and this is going to piss off some firefighters, but for those that,
about what's relevant
but
here.
people that, again, people that know, I know multiple firefighters, and I also know multiple firefighters and law enforcement that actively use steroids. Now, listen to me. I'm about to have a sponsor from a steroid company. They want me to come in and do testosterone treatments, and they want me to talk about it on air. I haven't told you guys this, but so I actively know about these things. I'm not judging Barry for using steroids. I'm all about if there are performance enhancing drugs that can help you and you can legally take TRT or whatever you want, testosterone.
I agree. It's a healthy thing if you do it right.
If you do it right or whatever. But I can tell you that in my opinion, as well as Captain Obvious here, whoever this is, I do believe Barry has used and or is continuing to use steroids of some sort. That doesn't mean he's a murderer, by the way. Some of the side effects of steroid use and over steroid use can be rage. This is not me. You can Google this shit, you know. I'm not a doctor trying to tell you this. I'm just telling you the obvious.
And let's not even say rage. Let's say quick to anger.
Quick to anger. You're messing with your hormones. You're messing with your body's hormones. So these things, Captain Obvious is pointing out some things that I haven't been willing to talk about. Actually, I haven't talked about this, but there are people that I have messaged and had conversations with, and I'm like, dude, he looks like an active steroid user. You know,
it's very popular. It's very popular nowadays. TRT is very popular in
absolutely
the 50 and over population.
Absolutely.
Okay, for people that don't know that, very, very popular. Especially, Tyson even got kind of a vibe where he kind of bars out the truck. He's carrying himself with a little bit of, what are you doing here? But trying to be nice about it. So you can kind of see there's a little, he's an ex-player, which I understand sports, whatever. We kind of have a little bit of alpha to us, but at the same time there's a little bit, he's got a little more edge to him than just an alpha person.
You know, if you would have said he was a skier, I would have never said anything. But Major League Baseball is renowned and known for this. This isn't a new, there's documentaries out about it. You know, you can watch the players telling you. And the fact that he made it to the professional athlete realm, absolutely you're going to be an alpha. He was probably, you know, there are things that say he was the star quarterback, the star baseball player in high school. She was the cheerleader. You know, these are alpha. This is how he has $1 million home. This is how he's a successful business person. These are the alphas.
After 50, you start losing that. What also happens after 50, you kind of start losing that edge.
But you don't lose it if you got a few, if you have connections in the MLB world, because you can just call your doctor and be like, hey, bro, I need something, you know? And so
also nowadays, if you got money, rich people nowadays in the 50s, they're all doing TRT. They're all doing hormonal.
That's what I'm saying. I'm about to have a TRT sponsor, and I ain't even going to be freaking, they want me to come in and do it. And I'm like, dude, I'm 40. I'll come take some steroids. And so,
done healthy. Yes. I'm 43. So trust me, I would too.
Yeah.
That's what you realize. People in the upper middle class, all the guys in their 50s, majority of them that are kind of in the healthy, whatever activities, working out, whatever, they're all doing the TRT thing. But let's get back to still what kind of else is relevant. That is relevant. You can go back and see Tyson's, when Barry hops out, there's one little clip there. You see him close up with the tank top. It's so obvious.
No, and like I said, I'm not disagreeing with you. I've actually, I saw this during during pictures and during the first interview. Yeah. I have been very. When
he's younger, he's kind of skinny, by the way.
I've been very careful. I haven't talked about it because I know the world's going to flip out.
But at the same time, it's how we address it is we're just saying this is relevant facts. Relevant facts are that very most likely is on a hormonal replacement, possibly steroids, whatever. I think a lot of people, it's kind of like cannabis. You say weed or marijuana, you think something bad. You say cannabis, well, it's medicinal. You know what I'm saying?
Gotcha.
So at the same time, Barry's on a hormonal replacement, testosterone replacement. A lot of women do growth hormone replacement stuff. Guys do that too. I mean, Joe Rogan will talk about it. Everybody knows, TRT and GH, I believe. So
Absolutely. Hey, man. Hey, thanks for the call tonight. You have brought some things forward that are both relevant and needed to be addressed.
Okay, well, I appreciate you too, man. And yeah, thanks for keeping the kind of the speculation. People like to talk about all the other stuff that's not relevant. Thanks for keeping the relevant facts going, man.
All right,
the
man.
relevant items going, whatever.
All right, man. Thanks for calling.
Hey, but Captain Obvious definitely says, yeah, definitely Barry did it. You heard it here.
You heard it there. All right, man. We'll talk to you later.
Thanks, brother.
You're live with Dad with a Phone.
Hi, you up? This is Zelda Zell. Boring.
What are you up to?
5'9".
What do you think about the stuff that's come out tonight?
Oh, we just had a tragedy with a friend. Their 20-year-old grandson was hit by a car going 55 miles an hour. So I just want people to pray for him.
Okay. Well, what's his name?
Cameron.
And did he make it?
We're not sure.
Okay.
We're not. The car hit him at 55 miles an hour just down the street from us.
Okay.
And his mom is just recovering from a traumatic brain injury when she fell. So she was in the hospital for a month and a half in ICU. So I just want everybody to pray for little Cameron Sunday. I've known him since he was a baby.
Okay.
Newborn. Yeah. But anyway, is it true about the camera systems, security camera systems being disabled in the Morphew home?
That's the rumor, but I can't sit here and say that that's fact, only because those are going to be real tightly close held facts to the investigation. And so, people say that online and they can just run with it and say, oh yeah, we know from a source close to the family that the cameras were off. Well, this is true. Well, if the cameras were off, could be for a number of different reasons. It depends on the camera system. I have a camera system in my house, and it's a wireless camera system, and I'm pretty religious about making sure that the cameras are charged and stuff. But if you're not charging your cameras, and you could have a camera system that one or two of the cameras would go out, three of the, so is it possible? Yes, it's possible the cameras were out.
And the only thing that I knew that's latest is that van, that navy blue van with the stickers on it. Is that the new stuff, or is there something
Have
else?
you not watched the interview with Barry?
No, I didn't.
Oh yeah, there was so a YouTuber was out there yesterday and today, I believe, or yesterday, 30th and the 31st, and they ran into Barry Morphew and got an interview. You can see that interview on Dadwithaphone's page on Facebook, or you can go to the YouTuber Tyson Draper.
Oh, okay, I will. What's anybody have any thoughts on that?
Oh yeah, we've been talking about it all night. And if you watch not this video, but the prior video that I did today, I actually talked to Tyson, the guy who talked with Barry, and he had an a very candid interview that was recorded. Barry didn't know it was being recorded, and Barry gives Barry's story or his take on what they know, what they've talked about, what's going on, and so it's just the first time we've heard from Barry outside of the 30-second interview. And this video is like 10 minutes long, and Barry's sitting there talking the whole time. So again, you can see that video on my Facebook page. You can also go directly to the YouTuber channel, Tyson Draper. That's TysonDraper. And he has that video posted up. But Tyson actually, me and him have a phone conversation in the video prior to this one. So you can go find it on Facebook too. It's labeled, and you'll see it. And at the end of that video, I talked to him. He explains kind of his thoughts on what went down. So it's really informative. So yeah, if you haven't seen that stuff, you need to check it out and see it.
Thank you. Yeah, I've been out of the loop today on that.
Well, this is kind of the breaking news today. Like, this case has kind of gone silent because of the,
Yes.
COVID and because of the riots and all this stuff. And so for me, this came out of the blue this morning. Tyson, I never heard of him, never seen any of his work on YouTube, and it popped up all of a sudden. We were trying to contact him. We got in contact with him and talked to him today. And so, it's a good deal, and he did a great job with talking to Barry. Barry was very open with him. There's some question around how he obtained the video and what, how he recorded it, but in Colorado, it's a one-party state. Only one person has to know they're being recorded.
Same here in Oregon.
Yeah, and if you can't be upset at what Tyson's doing, because Tyson was out there searching, he was looking, he was being a YouTuber who had his boots on the ground. He wasn't speculating, he wasn't buying into internet rumors. He literally was at the place where they said she went missing, and Barry was there too, and he talked to Barry. Barry gives this story, and Tyson captured it on video, and I applaud the man. And people can be
And are people thinking that Barry's innocent?
Oh, yeah. Actually, the video itself, if you watch the video just with an open mind, I'm gonna tell you what, if you don't look at it like, oh, Barry's just reciting a script, but he's genuinely given, talking to this guy because he thinks this guy's out there to help search for his wife, I think the video could look good for Barry. On the flip side, people are going to dissect it. They're going to say, because he said this, and just like I was talking with the gentleman before you, he says some things in there that aren't necessarily relevant. And the question everyone asks is, well, why would you talk about this and not talk about your wife personally?
Nervous chatter.
Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of nervous stuff, which,
when the baby was missing and they gave that interview, I said, no, it's somebody took the baby, because I said, look for a woman with a new baby. I bet you.
Oh, you're talking. Okay, so Heidi Brazard case.
Yeah,
and how people blame Shane, and and the reason they blame Shane, I blame the media. Because the media, they painted Shane guilty. They showed this very bad interview, and they showed it uncut. And I looked at it and gave my personal opinion, and I was like, this is a guy that is he's trying to be genuine because it's awkward to be in front of the camera. And the cameraman was a terrible cameraman. The interview was done over the phone. And people blame Shane. YouTubers went off on him, and then all of a sudden it broke. It was, the best friend who stole the baby,
I from day one, the minute I saw it, I says, nope, this is a baby kidnapping.
Oh, I mean, there were YouTubers that for their first hour were talking about Shane's guilty. Nope. And the second hour, they're talking about, oh, Shane's innocent. It's the friend. And so, yes, the speculation runs wild. I will speculate. I will speculate with the rest of them, but I try to keep an open mind. And right now, I don't know.
Well, you know what did it to me? What makes me feel that Barry is an innocent man is because, but I could be wrong, because when his friend was talking about how they went on these trips together, and that Barry would read his Bible, and that he's a very godly man. So
yes, I can believe that. But
that doesn't mean anything.
So Chad Daybell thinks he's a godly man too.
Yeah. Oh my God.
But you know what I'm saying? So a lot of murderers hide behind religion.
Oh, I know. We were wrapped up. One of these days, if you don't have anything to cover, we'll talk about the case that we uncovered in Tecate, Mexico, where some of the children were killed. It was a child sex ring, and we exposed them all. Geraldo Rivera, Sally Jesse Raphael, and everything carried our story. So, we were on the TV everywhere. It was a huge, huge case where 10 people got arrested. They went to prison. They all died, and some of the kids ended up dead. And but you know, it was back in the 80s, early 80s, 81, 82. So that case really scares us. But you know, I don't like this psychic stuff because I'm a Christian, and you know, the Bible says that we're not to talk to these spirits.
Yes.
And Satan can create a thing to make it look like he can lead people to uncover, you know, some stuff and make it look real. But I always ask, you know, why does these psychics always live in these little nasty little trailers on the side of the road and not win big, the lotto?
No, I understand. I understand the talks. You know, I've said it before. And I've had a psychic on this show, and so, but it was because she was actually involved with a case, and we had recordings of her and from 10 years prior. So I talked to her 10 years later just about that case in the Mindy Lee case. And so,
you know, that Mindy Lee case, that's a bad cop. Bad cop.
Very, very, very much possible. So like when we talk and people bring up psychics and mediums, I try to tell them the best. I believe that stuff exists.
Yes, it does.
I don't necessarily think, you know, I think you have to be very, very careful messing with it. But I also want to say that there are people that have gifts, you know, and gifts that I don't understand because I don't have them, right? And so
gifts of discernment,
and the gifts of discernment and gifts of things that, you know, intuition, people call it, different things like that. You know, in the Christian realm, they call the psychics the prophets, right? And so it's okay to be a prophet, but it's not okay to be a psychic, right? And so, you know,
but I have spidey sense.
No, I understand, but that is in a sense. You would call that, call it spidey sense. The Bible calls it prophetic, and the world calls it psychic, right? And so we're all talking about the same thing.
Yeah, it's because I grew up in a very dysfunctional family, and father used to beat me, and it was a Christian family. So, but I know your dad wouldn't like it with you having psychics. Because I understand. I was a sheriff's deputy in my younger years.
No, I remember. We've had some conversations before, I think, about this.
And I sent you $50 on PayPal to pay for I won on KK's wears extensions.
Oh, you're the KK bet. Yeah, because you lost that bet. She don't be wearing no extensions.
No, she has extensions.
No, she doesn't.
You can put extensions on and lift your hair up in the back.
I don't believe you.
I'll do a video of me wearing extensions.
Well, you paid the bet off. I didn't.
I know, because I was being nice.
All right. Hey, well, thank you so much. Hey, we'll talk to you later.
All right. Do a Chiron. Let's do Chiron. It'll be 10 years next week.
Okay.
Chiron Horman.
Tyron Horman. I don't.
Chiron. K is.
Chiron. Okay, I don't know much about that case, but I'll look into it.
Have you seen my videos on Where's Eduardo?
I haven't.
Oh my gosh, I'm doing a series of Where's Eduardo, and I interview Eduardo, and then Letitia's going to get married, and Sugar Daddy steps in, and Quincy Brown. Oh yeah, I'm doing a whole series. I have 3,000 hits on that one. Where's Eduardo?
What's the name of your YouTube channel again? Tell everyone.
Well, I'm Zelda.
All right, so there you go.
Then just Google Where's Eduardo, and you'll see.
All right, we'll talk to you later.
EGG Eduardo.
All right, Zelda.
I do this whole series, but they're going to get married. Sugar Daddy's going to offer her purses. You know, she had 17 purses for sale on Poshmark. That's what prostitutes get for payoff. Did you know that?
Okay. All right.
Anyway, God bless.
God bless. We'll talk to you later.
You're doing, and I'm going to go check that out tonight.
Yeah, go watch Barry's interview.
And you pray for my friend's little. Oh my God.
What's his name again?
Cameron.
All right.
Sunday. SUNDAY. DAI.
Cameron Sunday. All right.
Yeah, he's only 20 years old. Oh my God. All right.
We'll talk
Thanks,
to you later.
Wab.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
I love some phone calls. Great. Oh man, good day, guys. Hey, thanks for watching Dad with the Phone. You can follow me at all the links below. You know we'll be back. You can go sub to Zelda. You can sub to Tyson Draper. You can sub wherever you want. If you haven't subbed to Dad with a Phone, that's all right. But if you have subbed, thanks for subbing. As always, somebody's been popping up my PayPal link in the chat. If you want to throw some money in the bucket, that's like me putting my hat out. You can throw some money in the bucket just to help the channel along, buy some coffee, or if you lose a bet like you think KK's wearing extensions. Either way. What else? This video has just been a call-in show. We've been talking about Barry Morphew. He did an inadvertent interview with a YouTuber, and we had that YouTuber on an earlier show today. You can check that video out online as well. Very interesting take from the actual guy who stood across from Barry Morphew, looked him face to face as he asked him questions. You can dissect that video over on Tyson's channel, or if you're on Facebook, you can see that video on Dad with the Phone's Facebook. We'll talk to you guys later. Hey, thanks for watching. Interesting, to say the least. Whether you think it was good for Barry, whether you think it was negative for Barry, whether you think the YouTuber was shady, whether you think it was a great video done by a great content creator, no matter where you stand, Barry Morphew gives about a 10-minute talk about what he thinks happened, some different speculation. Again, mountain lions to abduction to a car accident that sent her down into a ditch. You make your own suggestions. You can make your own speculation. When it all is said and done, we hope that truth is brought forward, and that that the family has some closure around what happened to Suzanne Morphew. We also lift up Cameron Sunday, who was in a car accident. God, I pray that you just put your arms around that family. You protect that boy wherever he's at, whether he is in the hospital or he's back home, if he's in ICU. I pray that you put your hand of healing on Cameron Sunday. And however you can intervene, Father, you do that. Thanks for watching Dad with a Phone. We'll talk to you guys later.